Hey, what's up you guys? So today I want to discuss A Heart So Fierce and Broken by BRIGID KEMMERER. So this is the second book in the Cursebreakers trilogy, and I did really enjoy this book. I honestly enjoyed it so much more than the first one. Like, I honestly really liked this book. This is the book that I would recommend to people. I don't know if I'd recommend the first one. I mean, you do have to read the first one to read the second one, but like this one was so much better. This book, it just developed so many more of the characters that I was so much more interested in the first book than the first book. And so if you don't know, the first book is a Beauty and the Beast retelling, and so from there it kind of veers off with the next two books. The third one is set to come out on the 26th, I believe, so I will be picking it up then. This story follows two of the other characters from the first book, and it really dives deeper into their stories, which is what I really loved. And I really loved how this story better developed the side characters. So let's start talking about some of the things that I really liked about this book. And so I really loved the main characters. I loved Gray and Lyamara. I thought they were so much better than the first book's main characters. They weren't as predictable or as boring. They were much more developed. They had a lot more backstory and a lot more intrigue involved with them. And they just got so much more development, as I said. They went through so much more, and I feel like the pacing in this story was a lot better off for it, because their story, it developed so well in regards to the speed of the plot. And with that, I really liked how the pacing was a lot faster, and I really appreciated that, because in the first book, I feel like that was something that was really hindering it, was how slow the pacing was. It made it kind of boring, and it made the story a little bit more predictable. And I just loved how this book went away from that and got a lot more exciting, got a lot more faster paced. A lot of more things happened a lot faster. I feel like a lot more happened in this book. It doesn't feel like I could just sum it down in like a couple sentences. I feel like I could talk for a little bit longer on this book. I also really like how I'm starting to get this sense that I don't know who the author is really rooting for, because I don't feel like the author is rooting for our main characters from the last book, which would make sense because I didn't really particularly like them. But it's just kind of weird that we've got these main characters from the last book that the author isn't rooting for, and we've got these new main characters that the author is, and it's just kind of different, and it just makes me really curious for where this story is going to go. I really like how Ren started to get a bit of a cruel streak in this story. I feel like it's further kind of changing his character and showing who he is and showing how the curse never really changed him, and I really like that just because it's building the anticipation a little bit more for what's going to happen in the last book. I really loved Lyamara's relationship with her family. I thought that it was really unique, and it was kind of different because however much she loved them, she also saw them for their flaws, and so I just thought that was an interesting dynamic, and I did really like that, and I'm curious to see how that's going to further develop in the next book. I also thought the side characters in this book were a lot more interesting. I feel like we got a lot more development with them than we did in the first book. I feel like a lot of the side characters were kind of just boiled down to one trait in the last book, whereas in this one we got actual scenes with them, we got development with them, we got to see them grow and change, and we got to see them start to see things differently. I really liked how in this book the characters started to see things so much more differently, and I loved how they started to question some of the things that they thought they had known. And on that note, I feel like Jake got a lot better development in this book. He was one of the side characters, but he was probably the one that I thought was least developed in the first book, who should have been so much more developed. And in this one, he just got so much more development, and I'm really curious to see what's going to happen with him and Harper in the next book, especially given the fact that they've kind of picked two different sides in an oncoming war. This book also made me feel so many more emotions than the first one. In the first one, I really just kind of laughed occasionally, but in this one, I laughed, and I got really scared, and I cried a little bit for some of the characters. I mean, I didn't cry like super much. My eyes watered. Okay, that's what happened, but it's fine. So anyways, all in all, I just liked this book so much more. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. So now let's segue into the things that I didn't like as much. I feel like Harper and Ren did not get enough development in this story. That was one of the things that was lacking so much from the first book, was their development, and I feel like in this one we didn't get it either. I feel like we got to start to see different sides of Ren a little bit, and I liked that, but I wish that we had seen a little bit more from him. I want to kind of understand his thought processes a little bit more and not have it be boiled down to something as simple as him just being scared or being a coward. But that being said, I am getting really concerned for Harper and her kind of situation, because I don't think that she's gonna stand by Ren. Like, I cannot justify his actions. Like, there is nothing that can be done to justify his actions in this book. And so for me to kind of have a redemption arc for him, it's going to take a lot. And so I am kind of nervous about that in the next book as well, about getting a potential redemption arc for him, because I don't think he deserves it. I thought the writing style in this book was better, but I did not think it was perfect by any means. It was still a little on the simplistic side. So I do hope to see some improvement there in the next book. I do think that it is definitely trending towards the better in the books. So I liked that I'm seeing some author growth in these these books. I also feel like the world was still really underdeveloped in this book. I wish that we had some more ties to kind of the story and the world a little bit, and it wasn't so loosely tied together. I just wish that the world was more important in the story, which is a little nitpicky, but that's something that I like in my fantasy novels. So that is it for my non-spoilery discussion of A Heart So Fierce and Broken. I'm going to launch into my spoilery section now, so if you don't want to be spoiled, leave now. Bye. Spoils to come. So the story opens up with Gray 6 months in the future of the last book at Eternity, and I definitely loved it. It was so much appreciated to see Gray in a different location and to kind of be a little bit more in the future so that it feels like things aren't just happening for randomness sake. And Gray had started to develop a relationship with this boy named Tycho. I mean, they weren't like relationship, I mean like friends. They were friends. So anyways, they're friends, and I just thought that it was so cute and I really loved it, and I feel like that started to develop Tycho really early on, which is what I really appreciated as well. And we also get to see a little bit of Lyamara and what's going on with her, and I think that we start to get some really good ties in with her and see her as being a good person pretty early on, and I did like that as well. But she goes to Ren to try to see if she can discuss with him a potential alliance, and she winds up getting captured, and I loved that moment. I thought it was so well done, and it made me so nervous for her and for all of the characters involved, because that's when I started to really see Ren as not being a great guy. Like, Ren had 3 major moments in this book where I think that he really showed his true colors, and I think that this was definitely one of them. He really was not good here, and I think that this is one of those moments where it's going to be hard for me to be able to have any sort of justification for his actions, because he killed someone who was kind of important, you know? So he killed someone, and that's not okay, especially when they had done nothing to antagonize the situation. Okay, and then Gray gets caught, and I thought his reunion with Harper was so it was both lackluster and exactly what I wanted. Like, I didn't want anything super epic for them because I was really starting to like Lyamara a lot more because she had so much more development than Harper, so much quicker, and I just wanted to see Lyamara and Gray interact for the first time. So when Lyamara and Gray did interact for the first time, I was so here for it. I loved how Gray saw her and was like so confused. I was so impressed, and I just thought that was so great. Okay, so then the next moment that really shows Ren's true colors happens, which is when Ren tortures Tycho to try to get Gray to talk. This is the moment where I'm really like, you cannot justify this. Like, I don't care how scared you are. Like, you cannot justify this. Like, this is not okay. This is a literal war crime. It really upset me. This was probably the most upsetting moment in this book. And if Ren gets a redemption arc, I don't know if I'm gonna be happy about it, because this moment, like, he needs to see himself for what he did, you know? Like, this was not okay. But I did love how everyone was able to escape after that, because Gray had a great reaction. And so now we've got our group of Jake and Noah, Lyamara, Tycho, and the Scarver, and they're all headed to Lyamara's country of Shy Shallow, I think. And I really loved how this journey was used to develop the characters further. I'm not normally the biggest fan of huge journey sequences in books, because normally it's just kind of boring, because it's like we go from this location to this location to this location and nothing really happens in between. So I liked how things happened in between. I liked how we got to see Lyamara and some of her skills. We got to see her and Gray interact a lot more, and we got to see Jake and Noah kind of deal with the fallout from everything that had happened with Ren, and the fact that they had originally been with Ren, and now they were questioning that, and not only were they questioning that, but Noah was against it, because Noah is a good human. I like Noah. I really loved when we got to Shy Shallow. I felt so nervous because I did not know what was going on with these characters. Like, they were way too trusting for me, but that's okay because everything worked out in the end of the story. But it was a little nerve-wracking getting there. And then what happened with Lyamara's guard, where the queen like took out his eye, I was so not prepared for that. I felt so bad for him, especially given the fact that he had already lost his lover. Like, it was not a good situation. It just broke my heart for him, and it really made me question Lyamara's ability to pick good people, especially given the fact that she still cared for her mom, she still cared for her sister, and she still trusted them. I mean, she trusted her sister a lot more than her mom, and this moment I think really broke that trust. But oh boy, it was just a great moment. And so then Lyamara got locked up again by her mom, and I was like, girl, you gotta stop doing this. Like, you gotta stop just getting locked up by by people. Granted, she doesn't really have much of an option not to, because what is she gonna do? Live in the woods? Okay, so during all of this, Gray is trying to forge an alliance with Lyamara's sister, who is the heir. I love Lyamara's reaction to all of it. I really love how her relationship with Gray developed so far, and I really love the thing that is blocking them from really being together is the fact that Lyamara isn't destined to be queen. She is destined to be nothing. So I loved that. I really thought that it was well developed, and I love the angst there. Towards the end of the book, we have Karis Lauren, who is the queen, calling out Lyamara's name for Gray to kill, or saying like your sister or something. I was like, oh fucking no, like not Lyamara, like this cannot happen. What is Gray gonna do? And then Gray comes up with a genius plan of taking them out of the realm for a second and then coming back. And I was like, oh my god, I'm stressed. But it's okay, because Karis got killed by Lyamara, I think. I don't remember exactly how she died, but it's okay because she got killed and then Lyamara became queen, and I thought that was so great. Oh yeah, Lyamara had to have killed her because of how their weird laws work. So anyways, I just loved that whole climactic ending. I thought the ending was so perfect. I thought it was so well done, and all in all, the pacing in this book was just so fantastic because each of these events happened relatively quickly after one another, and there wasn't a lot of downtime, and I absolutely loved it. I loved how we were constantly developing these characters. So then we get Gray's birthday gift to Ren, which is 60 days before he starts a war, and I'm like, ooh yes. So I'm so excited for the next book when we're going to see this war start, especially given the fact that at the end we got the plot twist that Lilith is back. She did not die. I was like, yes. I'm so excited to get some more development with her, especially because she was one of my favorite characters from the first book, given the fact that she was so twisted. This was kind of the last moment where I saw Ren as really making his full evil arc, because he is not going to tell Harper about Lilith. He is keeping this all to himself. He is being a coward, and he's acting purely out of fear. And I just absolutely love that we have gotten such a good kind of evil arc for him in this book, even though I want to get a better one for him. Like, I want him to be a good guy. I want to be able to root for him, but I can't. I just can't. And so I'm hopeful that in the next book, Ren dies or something, because I can't root for him. Like, there's nothing that the author could do that would redeem him in my eyes. He was controlled by Lilith the entire time. So anyways, that was my thoughts on A Heart So Fierce and Broken by BRIGID KEMMERER. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, comment, all that jazz. I post videos on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. So I will see you in my next one. Bye!